There's no hard and fast rule, but if I looked at the report and it was very thorough, I don't think he was doing the seller any favors.
Right. Well, I've been in situations personally where I represented the buyer, and the seller was kind of pushing the report on me. He says, "I've had it inspected. You don't have to do it." And that kind of raised a red flag with me, and I said, "I think I'll do my own report."
Sure.
And we ended up finding something, because there could be 20 items in there, but then maybe the one item that was missed was the one that was
Right.
when it was pretty serious. So, I mean, we might disagree on that, and certainly I would at least even call back the original inspector to do it. Okay, this way then he's liable if there are any other problems
Sure.
that come up. That's a possibility. How long do you usually spend in a home?
On average, probably about 3 hours. It could,
It varies on size.
Yeah, exactly. I've been, a house that was built right after Civil War. I was there, oh gosh, from dawn till dusk, and it took me another day to write the report. But a one-bedroom condo that's relatively new, you're not going to have to document as much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but you certainly check it out. But I would say the average is probably about 3 hours, and then we have to go back and write the report and put all the pictures in.
What's the typical cost on getting a report, or to have a report done, or have an inspection done? I'm assuming it's based on size.
Absolutely. It's by square footage. If it's 1,500 square feet or less, it's $285. And then it goes up $25 every incremental 500 square feet. So 1,500 or less, $285. 1,500 to 2,000 would be $310. $335 for 2,000, 2,500.
It's very reasonable.
Up like that.
It is reasonable to expedite the sale, especially in this market.
Sure.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, and we're going to go back to Jamie. We're going to ask Jamie about the cost of staging a home. How do you calculate, I'm assuming everyone is different, but more or less, what's the rule of thumb as far as setting a price on staging?
Well, I have a wide variety of services that will accommodate anyone's budget. The lowest cost point being $100 is the average cost of a home staging consultation for an occupied home. Mm-hmm. And what that entails is my travel time. I come and spend about an hour at the property, inside and out. I'll take notes while I'm there, and then I'll do a follow-up report, room by room, interior, exterior, of recommendations that the seller can implement prior to putting their home on the market. If the seller is looking for something a little more comprehensive, I do have a comprehensive home staging report, which is if, like, say the seller is planning, they know that they're going to be selling their house in, say, 6 months from now, and it's a little bit older home, and they know that it's going to need some updating to get it up to par with their competition. I'll do a report like that. It's usually over 40 pages long. I'll do some...
Really?
Yeah. I'll do some research for the client, say they need to update their kitchen cabinets, and I'll give them different methods they can use, whether it be stain or paint. I'll actually shop online for different hardware for the drawers and things
That's
like...
pretty extensive.
Right, light fixtures, and just give them an idea of what they should be updating their home with, because a lot of times sellers do need, guidelines of what's popular right now.
And I guess you're trying to stay within a certain budget, or they give you a budget?
Exactly. Well, it's based on the price point of the home. If the home is over $500,000, I kind of have an idea of what kind of fixtures need to be in there, as opposed to a home that's only $150,000. So that report, like I said, is over 40 pages long, and the pricing for that starts at $295, and it goes up.
For a 40-page report?
Yeah, $295. I believe that's for 2,000 feet and under, and then for each 1,000 square feet, it's priced by square footage. It goes up by $100.
So that's reasonable. So basically, in that report, you'll give them an idea. Even if they don't use you as a stager, they can actually get that report and kind of try and do it
That's
themselves.
the whole point of both of these services, is
Right.
the seller's going to do most of the work themselves to save money.
Okay,
and then
good.
if there's any portion of that they want to outsource to me, then I'll give them a quote for that.
Have you ever been in a house that you started to stage, and then in the process of staging the house, you said, wow, I wonder if the inspector had come in and picked this up, or the house should have been inspected before even putting it on the market?
I haven't come across any horrible situations like that, but there have been a few consultations I've gone on where standing on the front porch, I noticed wood rot on the windows, or even like there's a pillar on one porch where I could tell that the wood was soft, and I put that in my report that
Of course, every seller is different, but how do they handle it? When you give them all this great news?
Well, I just told them wood rot's it's very easy to repair. Doesn't cost a lot of money, and if I noticed it, I think a lot of people are going to notice it when they come, and it's just something that should be addressed before they put their home on the market.
Going back to the self-staging aspect of it, what are the mistakes that people typically make or they get to the point where they say, just come over and just do it. I can't deal with this. Do you ever get those calls?
Oh, yeah. I get those calls. There are, and I've also gotten calls where they come, like for, say, vacant homes even, and they'll have me come and look, and I'll give them a quote, and they just, I don't think I want to spend the money in that. I'm going to do it themselves. And then they might, bring the wrong size and style of furniture in the home. They'll put it on the wrong wall. They don't accessorize, and it's not really doing them any favor.
Yeah, it becomes a problem. I was going to ask you, do you have to buy new furniture when you do a staging? Do you buy new furniture for the homes? Is there a way to rent it, or how do you get around the furniture issue if it's a vacant home?
If it's a vacant home, I do have furniture in my inventory that my clients can rent from me. And then just depending, on the size of the room and the style of the home, the price point kind of dictates what I'll use in that home.
So they don't have to buy furniture. They can actually.
No, not at all.
They rent the furniture.
And sometimes there's situations where a seller is planning to buy new furniture for their next home anyway, so they might have me help.
Oh, really? That's a great idea.
Yeah, help pick some things out. We'll buy it, and then they'll just paying for me for kind of my expertise and getting it set up
That makes a lot
and
of sense.
helping select things, and then they can take it to their next home.
What about the use of interior plants? There's a lot of talk about feng shui in the house. I mean, you ever come across those situations where people say, I want certain plants in, or they believe in this feng shui? I don't know if you believe in it.
I do not use feng shui, but I guess I just need to educate my clients on that. I am trained on proven staging techniques that have been in practice for over 30 years, and that they just need to trust me of why I might position a sofa here versus over there. There's just various techniques that we use to accentuate features in the home.
I've been in homes that sometimes they have these color coordinated rooms that are just out of this world. Have you ever seen that, where they had to do a total neutralization of the colors?
Oh yeah, there was one of those vacant.
No hesitation on the oh yeah part. I just
well, I mean, like some of those vacant homes I was telling you about before. I walked in and they had orange on the lower half of the walls. They probably had a color palette of 8 different colors in the home, and they weren't even in the same color family. So.
Yeah, I did a house once, and pretty much this lady was into very dark black and gray colors, and silver mirrored, and I just the whole place had to be redone. It was pretty awful. I've been in homes where you have a lot of mirrors, a lot of art, sometimes erotic art, which could be offensive to some people. They get carried away with some of these art pieces, and sometimes you have decorators that overdo it. I've been, as a matter of fact, I saw one yesterday. He was a decorator. A decorator on it was a condominium, and it was just overloaded with stuff. I don't know if it was leftover from other clients or whatever it was, but I mean, it was just pretty wild stuff. You ever come across that?
Yeah, there's been a few homes where I have consulted where it was an interior designer, and they finally came to a point where they realized that they had to kind of detach themselves from the home emotionally and have someone come in that can look at it more objectively and tell them what needs to be done. And it's also, too, about educating the sellers that they're not trying to sell their artwork or their collections. They're trying to sell their house, and then separate that.
Did you say you have a psychology degree? Or
No.
Oh, you don't have. Oh, I see.
No.
And what about outdoor improvements? Do you recommend on outdoor improvements too, as far as shrubbery and landscaping?
Yeah, the outside is just as important as the inside. You don't want a realtor driving up a prospective buyer and then have them take one look at the house and say, I don't even want to go inside. They need to, trim up the shrubs, refresh mulch and pine straw, things like that. Even painting the mailbox if it looks boring.
That's the first impression syndrome. It
Yeah,
has to be the
exactly.
first
You only have
curb
one
appeal.
chance.
Curb
Exactly.
appeal. We're back with Jamie and Preston. Jamie, did you ever go into a house and say there were problems and you wish that the inspector had come in and taken a look at the house ahead of time?
I've never come across any major issues, but I definitely agree with Preston and understand where he's coming from when having a home pre-inspected is an excellent idea, so there are no surprises for the seller when they go to close. You don't want to lose a deal for something that could have been fixed ahead of time.
And that could happen, absolutely. Like you said, there's emotions involved, and then all of a sudden you get the report, and it kind of scares everybody off, and that's a problem. What about tweaking a house after you stage it? In other words, you stage a house, and then you get a call from the seller saying, well, maybe something isn't right. I bumped into some of the furniture. Maybe they're uncomfortable. You feel like you just have to go back and tweak it. Do you ever go back and just
I do go back on a regular basis to check on my inventory in the staged homes, because they are a lot of times vacant, and there could be some a water leak or whatever. But
Sure.
Also the children of prospective buyers that come through like to play with things and move things around. So
I never thought about that.
Yeah, there's a few different
Sure.
reasons why to go back. So
Isn't it easy just to reduce the price of a house rather than go through this whole process of staging?
well, that's the thing. Sellers really need to look at staging as an investment in getting their home sold and not an expense. Let's say a seller doesn't do anything to properly prepare their home. They just say, I need to sell this quick. They put it on the market, and say a couple months go by. They don't have anyone coming back for a second showing, and they don't have any offers. What are they going to do? They're going to reduce their price. And that price reduction that they take the first time is going to probably cost them more than the money they would have spent to properly